I will be the moderator for today. As you've heard, the session today will be recorded. We will also share the slides with you this afternoon. So don't worry about writing everything down or sharing everything. As I mentioned, feel free to use the chat. We will use it to answer all your questions, to also share some links. And yeah, let's get into it. So on today's agenda, we'll have a word of welcome by our newly appointed chair, Bianca Den Else. Very pleased that she's with us today. And then we'll dive into the UN Global Compact. What is our organization? What do we offer? What is our mission? If you decide to join us as a participant, we have a few great offerings for you as well. So we'd love to dive into that. Then we'll hear from two of our engaged participants, from Falcon and from Signify. And of course, we'll end the session with some practicalities, but also plenty of time to answer all your questions. So I would quickly like to introduce today's speakers. As I mentioned, my name is Linde Reus. I'm the Participant Engagement Manager at the UN Global Compact, meaning I'm the first point of contact for companies that either have joined our network or, as today, hopefully, who are potentially interested in joining our network. So if you have any other questions after today's session, I'm happy to jump on a call one-on-one with you. I've also have my colleague Jamie with me today. Jamie, would you like to quickly introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Linda. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jamie Holton. I'm a Senior Program Manager at the UN Global Compact, and I will dive into all of the trainings that we offer, and hopefully those will be helpful to your organizations too. So great to be here.
Thank you, Jamie. Maurice, would you like to introduce yourself? And then Bianca, I'll give the word to you to have a formal word of welcome.
Sure, thanks, Linde. So good morning, everyone. My name is Maurice Loosschilder. I'm the Global Head of Sustainability at Signify. Signify is the largest lighting company in the world, formerly known as Philips Lighting. And I'm also a board member in the UN Global Compact Network, Netherlands. So happy to be here.
Bianca, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Linda. So my name is Bianca Den Elsen. I'm the CEO of Falcon and also the chair of the UN Global Compact in the Netherlands as of earlier this year. And I would like to provide a very warm welcome to this webinar. Yeah, it's wonderful to see you. Very different companies I saw in the chat. Great organizations and individuals joining us to learn more about what being a member of the UN Global Compact can mean for you and for your business. So as you might know, the UN Global Compact is the world's largest corporate sustainability initiative. And our Dutch network, the UN Global Compact NL, brings that global vision really close to home. Helping companies in the Netherlands here translate the 10 principles covering human rights, labor, environment, and anti-corruption into practical and measurable action. And you will learn and hear more about that later on in this webinar. So why does this matter? And especially now, I think because business leaders everywhere are currently feeling the pressure of change. And it's also interesting to learn more about that, reading a study that the UNGC and Accenture launched and published a few days back, where 93% of CEOs said that they face more than 10 global challenges at once. And also 98% believe that sustainability is a CEO responsibility. And we all also see at the same time that the S in ESG, so human rights and social impact, is becoming clearer every day. So joining the UN Global Compact NL turns these pressures into opportunities. So it provides credibility, alignment with a globally recognized UN framework, but also very practical tools and peer learning. So programs like the Climate Ambition Accelerator or the Business and Human Rights Accelerator, you will hear more about that in this webinar, but also accountability and trust. So the annual communication on progress, it helps members really to move from ambition to action. And with that also build confidence with investors, but also customers and employees. So whether you're a multinational or an SME, this network really offers a pathway to embed sustainability in your strategy, but also to collaborate with peers that are facing the same challenges. So thank you for being here. We are excited to share ideas, hear your questions, and also explore how together we can accelerate the transition to a more sustainable and responsible economy. Linda, back to you.
Thank you, Bianca. And I like how you said that it's whether you're an SME or a very large company, we need everyone on board to really accelerate our positive impact. As some of you may know, last week we've celebrated the SDG Action Day, where many companies, but also municipalities and ministries, raised the SDG flag to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the SDGs. But on the other hand, that means we still only have 5 more years to go before we reach the 2030 deadline. And well, it goes without saying that we need to accelerate and we need to move forward faster. And that's why I'd also like to show you this video. Pausing, but we're continuing.
The automobile is a fad, a novelty. Horses are here to stay.
I think there's a world market for maybe 5 computers.
Women cannot do men's work.
Sustainability is important, but we have more urgent issues.
History has taught us that the leaders who succeed are the ones who meet the needs of the future by moving forward.
To achieve the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030, we need forward thinkers. Those who see the SDGs as a driver of growth, not reputation. Who are busy making progress, not just pledges. Who know sustainability is the future, not a trend.
Because right now, only 15% of the SDGs are on track for 2030. Some are even moving backwards. And the majority of businesses aren't setting bold enough targets.
Forward Faster is here to guide companies on the areas where they can make the biggest, fastest impact for 2030.
Because sustainable companies give us the best chance of achieving the SDGs. But we need you to take more ambitious action.
The people and planet of tomorrow are relying on the forward thinkers and doers of today. Don't fall behind the times. Move forward faster.
You think they're gonna do it?
Yeah, I've seen this video quite a few times already, but it still gives me goosebumps in a way. But it is true. We really need to move forward faster, and well, maybe things that we didn't assume were possible back in the days really seem possible now. But that also means that we have to make sustainability a priority. So let me tell you a little bit more about how we try to support companies in becoming more sustainable at the UN Global Compact. So the UN Global Compact was founded 25 years ago in the year 2000, and we were founded by Kofi Annan, former Secretary General of the United Nations. And he called for a worldwide collaboration between businesses. As he said, we really need the business know-how, skills and resources for our sustainability agenda. And this started as a small group of 40 pioneering CEOs who apparently called him the day after, said, okay, I want to join this. How can I sign up? And now we've really grown to become the largest sustainability initiative 25 years later, with now over 25,000 companies worldwide joining the UN Global Compact, all on CEO level. And back in the days and still is the 10 principles are the foundation of our organization. And these are 10 principles on human rights, on labor, environment, and anti-corruption, who describe the values that a company needs to commit to in order to move forward. And all CEOs and all companies that join the UN Global Compact, they commit to these principles. And while the 10 principles provide a value, a principle-based framework, the SDGs are a time-bound agenda with the deadline of 2030. And many companies have also chosen a couple of SDGs as a priority as part of their sustainability agenda. So both of these frameworks form the UN Global Compact Sustainability Agenda. And our mission is to go from maybe broad and ambitious targets to really concrete actions. So we really try to teach you and enable you to learn from other companies. Okay, ambitions and a goal is one thing, but how do we really go to action? And here we are 25 years later. So as I mentioned, we've grown to become the largest sustainability community worldwide with 25,000 businesses. We have a headquarters in New York, but we have over 70 country networks worldwide, including the Netherlands. And in the Netherlands, we have over 395 companies joining our network. You see on my next slide a couple of the companies that have already joined us. It can be maybe a misconception that we have only large multinationals in our network, but around 50% of our networks are SMEs, actually. So if you're an SME joining us today, please, we'd love to encourage you to also join our network, as we have many opportunities also for you to work on sustainability. We're also a multinational multi-stakeholder initiative, meaning we work with a few non-business organizations as well to really strengthen our offering and to provide that non-profit perspective to our work. Indeed, Jamie is sharing some links. You can see all companies that have joined the UN Global Compact, both worldwide and in the Netherlands, and we'd love for you to become part of it. But then, why would you do so? So let's talk a little bit more about our mission as the UN Global Compact, which is actually threefold. So our first and foremost mission is to connect companies and sustainability professionals or people just very passionate about sustainability in their day-to-day work. We see that there's already a lot of knowledge, a lot of skills and know-how, but many sustainability professionals may feel a little isolated within their company because they're the only one, or maybe in a small team, really trying to push for sustainability in their company. So we want to enable them to exchange best practices and knowledge with each other. And we do that without any divisions in sectors. So whether you're a service provider or a producing company, or no matter what kind of product you're offering or your size, while you can look very different from the outside, actually we see that many companies are struggling and facing the same challenges. So therefore it's really interesting to actually bring those companies that don't meet each other on a day-to-day basis together and learn and exchange very insightful knowledge with each other. Moreover, we also provide a lot of training opportunities. My colleague Jamie will tell you a lot more about that in a second. And we also have the goal to highlight, to showcase great examples from companies that can show that being a good and a profit-making company while really being sustainable can go hand in hand. So we'd love to also give a stage to those companies that can inspire others. And at the bottom you see communicate. While we're not a certification body or we don't have any labeling or scoring mechanisms, it is required to report on your progress each year if you're part of our network. And that's our communication on progress, which I will dive into a bit more towards the end of the webinar. But let's first dive into a few of our learning opportunities for you to get an idea, how could I actually engage with the UN Global Compact if I decide to join? Well, there's a couple of initiatives that you can join or participate in if you decide to become part of our network. And the first one is the Academy. And the Academy is an online training platform which has over 120 courses on various sustainability topics. And these are around half an hour or an hour, so really easy. You can really be flexible in when you decide to follow a few of the courses. And the great thing about this is whether you're a small company or a very large company, all employees, whether they are based in the Netherlands or abroad, have unlimited access to this. So it really is a great way to upskill your staff, to maybe even make them a little bit more enthusiastic or more knowledgeable on various sustainability topics. So we see a few companies using this, for example, in onboarding new colleagues, or when providing internal training to staff, or to just offer it to colleagues who are looking maybe for some learning and development opportunities. And if you already have your own internal platform, then it is possible to integrate up to 3 courses each year directly onto your own intranet, to even lower the bar even more to access these free courses. If you complete a course, you get a certificate of completion. And there's 2 great initiatives that we've launched this year. The first one is the EU Gateway, where we dive into everything that's happening in terms of laws and regulations on sustainability. Think about CSRDs, Triple D, deforestation law, etc. We all dive into this in the EU portal. And we've launched Spark, which is an online learning journey especially tailored to SMEs. And if you're a large company, it can also be very interesting, because we can offer you to invite your smaller suppliers for free, so they don't have to be a member of the UN Global Compact yet. We can offer these courses to them as well. Jamie will share a trial link, so feel free to create a free account, and you can already find a selection of the courses just to give you an idea of what kind of courses are offered on the Academy. All right. Then I'd love to tell you a bit more about our events. So we organize usually around 1 to 4 events a month, and they can be very different in format. So we have webinars just like today, where we focus on knowledge sharing. So for example, on Thursday, we have a webinar on circularity, where we've asked a couple of companies, including VEPA and Arcadis, to tell you how they make circularity their day-to-day business. But we also have a couple of in-person events where we'd love to facilitate the in-person connection between our participants. If you still have time in your calendar, I'd love to invite you for the Leaders of Progress Summit on 15th of October. As I mentioned in the start of this webinar, we celebrate our 25th anniversary this year. And our big celebration will take place on the 15th of October with companies both inside and outside our network, and of course with many partners and our team. So if you'd love to get an idea or maybe see for yourself what the atmosphere is, what kind of people are joining these events, I'd love to invite you to join us in AFAS Theater in Leusden on 15th of October. And I hope to meet you all there. And then before I'm talking for way too long, I'd love to give the floor to Jamie to dive into our longer programs.
Great, thanks so much, Linda. So I'm here to tell you more about our accelerators. As the slide says, they are more in-depth, practical sustainability trainings that we offer for about 6 to 8 months each. So they're very much focused on, okay, you want to know more about, for instance, climate action. How can you become committed to the Science-Based Target Initiative? If you want to focus on human rights and human rights due diligence, how can you create an action plan to actually start mitigating the human rights risks in your business operations? So we guide you through the help of experts internationally, as well as by facilitating all of you together with your peers to exchange best practices, tips, maybe lessons learned, things you can avoid, and that way to help accelerate your action on these sustainability topics. What's really nice about this is because we're an international global initiative, is that we run these accelerator tracks at the same time in all of our countries. So for instance, if you might join here in the Netherlands, you could join with your colleagues here, but we also have plenty of companies that join multiple networks of the UN Global Compact, and then their staff, say in India or in Latin America, they join these accelerators there, and then the whole organization upskills around the world. So that's a really, I think, unique feature about the trainings that we offer. What's also nice to know is that we offer these trainings to multiple colleagues of your organization. And that's because we want to make sure that this knowledge and these skills are embedded more widely. And we also encourage you to tag along an ambassador at the more C-suite level or reporting to C-suite level to make sure that there's buy-in from the start of this training. And so that once you finish this training and have a nice action plan, you have support at higher management level to actually implement the actions. So here, there's a few examples on the screen of the accelerators that we offer. We have one focused on business and human rights, which I'll dive into a bit more here. This is a really great training, actually one of our most popular ones, and also open now for registrations, focused on what do you practically need to do as a company to show and to strengthen your human rights due diligence process. So we make sure that every guidance that we offer, every workbook and all the tips that we supply, they're aligned with the UN guiding principles, also known as the UNGPs. And we also make sure that we cross-check against the CSDDD, the Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive. So this is really about, showing and proving that your company cares about human rights in a practical way. The people that could join this training or benefit from this training is very broad. We typically see people who focus on sustainability, but also who are working in procurement or human resources, risk and compliance, communications even, and also governance matters. So it can be very broad as well. And we actually encourage you to join, since we are asking you to join with 2 colleagues, to have people from 2 different departments so that you actually complement each other and bring in different perspectives and insights. The duration of this training, it is from January next year until July next year. So it's about 6 months. We'll start end of January to accommodate for the holiday season. But then at the end of it, you'll have a great action plan that you can start implementing in your organization. We run this in a hybrid manner, so we'll have a few in-person and hybrid sessions, and then a few sessions online as well. So it's also accessible to colleagues abroad if your team is, maybe split across different offices. And it is free for UN Global Compact participants. So once you join the UN Global Compact, you can use this training this year or maybe next year, depending on your capacity and your needs. And that way, we're kind of a sustainability gym. So we offer this and you use what you need. We have a Q&A session coming up on November 11th about this training. There's a QR code here on the screen. If you'd like to learn more about this training, then please do sign up for that. And you'll hear us talk more about the specifics and the specific elements of human rights due diligence that we'll dive into. Great, and then moving on to the next training. We also have a Climate Ambition Accelerator, and this is together with the Science Based Target Initiative, SBTI, to help you learn how you can set science-based emission reduction targets to achieve net zero by 2050. So by the end of this, your organization will be in a great position to actually submit your targets and to be validated by the Science Based Target Initiative. We have, again, a global structure with a Netherlands track. So here you see some participants from the last year, and it's specifically for professionals working on climate reduction plans and projects or just transition. So sustainability managers, climate experts, procurement, and so on. So whoever wants to help the organization move this forward, those would be the great professionals to join. The timeline is from the spring next year until October 2026. And we'll have, again, some online sessions and some in-person as well. If you have questions, here's an email address. And also we have linked our website that you'll get in the slides to show your interest. And then we'll keep you posted as the registration for this training will open. Then we'll go to the Target Gender Equality Accelerator. So gender equality is one of the main forward faster themes that we have globally, because unfortunately, no country has achieved gender equality just yet. And what this training really focuses on is making sure that you can show that you pay your people equally for equal work values, and also how to set ambitious but also realistic targets for gender parity at different levels of the organization. So those are the main aspects here. Of course, in the Netherlands, we also apply a broader diversity, equity, and inclusion lens to account for intersectionality. But we do know that having this and tying it to your strategy as an organization can be really fundamental in moving the needle on gender equality in your company. The target group for this training ranges from DEI, human resources, but also broader sustainability, ESG, and also human rights professionals, as gender equality is also a human right, and so on. And this will run more from the fall next year until International Women's Day the next year. So it's also a great way for your company to get in motion and get some actions prepared, and then to ultimately be able to announce that for International Women's Day. Again, free for UN Global Compact participants, and you can sign up for the website to show your interest, and then we'll keep you posted of this training. I think also good to add is that there's a lot of EU legislation now also focused on gender equality and pay transparency. So we make sure to cover that in the training as well. So there's a compliance angle that could be interesting for your company. Last but not least, for our accelerators that we'll cover today, we have the SDG Innovation Accelerator. And this is a very unique training because it focuses on teams of professionals within your company that want to address sustainability issues. So it's primarily focused on younger professionals, so less than 5 years of work experience, who don't traditionally focus on sustainability, but want to learn more about it and want to specifically tackle an issue within your company. So it's very practical and something very relevant for your company. There's a lot of personal mentorship involved as well. It runs from February until July of next year. The teams that join, you'll see a few of the logos here on the screen. They each present their pitch for a sustainability solution in their company. And the best pitch actually gets sent to New York to also present it at the UN General Assembly. So that's very exciting and a nice opportunity for your young professionals to work on. This is because it's a training very much focused on mentorship. There's a bit more guidance, and that's why there's an additional fee. But also you can send a solo participant, and then there could be a cross-company team as well. So very interesting, a long-running training that we've had, and a great way to engage your young professionals on sustainability. The last program I'd like to tell you about is not specifically a training, but it's actually smaller communities that we have. We have peer learning groups, and with these groups, we bring together different professionals from different organizations to share best practices and also to share dilemmas in a very confidential setting. So in some companies, as Linda said, some sustainability managers might be a little bit isolated, but this is a great way for them to connect to others focused on these topics, and also to gain knowledge and to learn things and see what they can apply in their own organization. So we'll have in-person sessions for each of these groups. We have 3 groups at the moment. We have one for climate, one for human rights, and one for diversity, equity, and inclusion. You can see a few topics that are covered on the screen, but what I think is really nice about these groups is that it's led by the companies themselves. So we have 2 to 3 companies who volunteer to become co-leads, and they actually help determine the topics for the year. They bring the speakers, their colleagues, and the best practices to make sure that these are really useful for you. So that's for companies by companies. And the co-leads, they can, of course, join these groups for free. And for the other companies, we have a small symbolic fee to make sure that everyone's committed and shows up to all the sessions the rest of the year. Again, you can show your interest in joining these groups. They're very popular. We have multiple companies joining multiple years. So we see that this is a great way to expand your sustainability community beyond your organization as well. Now, this is all us saying that we have great programs and great things for you. But of course, we want to hear more from the people who actually are part of the network and are using some of these opportunities. So what I would love to do is give the word to Maurice to share how Signify is engaging with the UN Global Compact Network and maybe what you've gained as a company as well.
Yeah, sure. So good morning, everyone. Thanks, Jamie. So yeah, we are quite an active member of the network, and of course, Jamie introduced these very valuable initiatives like the accelerator as well as the peer learning groups. But next to that, there's also quite some informal learning, sharing, and networking, and also the in-person events are very valuable. So I hope to see you all in one of the next in-person events, especially the one on October 15th. But we are quite an active member of or we really like participating in the learning groups. And I want to share one very practical example of what we took out of the human rights peer learning group. This is a peer learning group where, as Jamie explained, we were able to put our challenges on the table, but also the gaps that we see and maybe even the blind spots. And for us, we learned about the need to have like a model in place, which is a specific human rights response model. And this model is really to define what kind of mitigation actions depend on the level of the salient risk that is identified in our human rights program. So basically, what kind of triggers, issues are triggering what kind of responses? Do we need to have a responsive, a preventive response, a mitigation action, reparation, whatever? So this is really something which we learned from other best practices, from other companies, and we're actually currently in the process of developing that and implementing that, and that's basically what we've learned in the peer learning group for human rights. One other great example which I want to share is once a year our sustainability team at Signify is having an offsite meeting. So this is basically like a strategy 2 days offsite, which we really look at, hey, what's going to be the strategy for the coming years, what are the topics to work on, and as a part of that learning, we always invite another peer company to share their sustainability approach. What are they working on? What do they see as challenges, trends, risks, etc. And this year we've invited one of the UN Global Compact members, so one of our fellow members in the network, to share their approach, which was super insightful. And basically we also do that for other companies. So that's also a bit of a more unofficial way of the network, the power of the network, and sharing each other's best practices.
Wonderful. Thank you, Maurice. I think a great example of how you can leverage some of the things that we offer already, but also great opportunities for you to see your own chances to improve and use the network that can help you in a very practical way. So thank you for sharing that. Bianca, over to you. How has Falcon maybe engaged with the UN Global Compact Network so far, and what have you seen as the value?
Yes, I would like to share some thoughts on why Falcon chose to become a member of the UN Global Compact Network in the Netherlands and what that meant for us. But I wanted to comment on Maurice's idea. I think I'm going to copy that, Maurice. I really like that idea of inviting someone of the network to an offsite. So I might copy that.
I can recommend it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine. Very nice. Yeah, so maybe why we joined very shortly. When we looked at, because there are a lot of networks, but when we looked at UNGCNL, 3 things really stood out for us. One is the credibility and the global alignment. So we do see that the 10 principles on human rights, labor, environment, and anti-corruption, it really provides for us a clear internationally recognized framework, which builds trust with our clients, our investors, and also our employees. And actually, us becoming a member was a bottom-up initiative from our employees. They really pushed me and the other partners to become a member, and we are really glad that we did. Mainly because of the second thing that stood out is the practical learning and peer exchange. We wanted more than just theory. We see that the network really offers a community of companies that openly share successes and challenges, and that was very important for us. And the third one is the one that I particularly like, is also the accountability. So membership does require to publish that communication on progress, and that transparency helps us to turn ambition into really measurable action. And that's also something that the network helps us doing. So in preparation for this webinar, I asked our global Falcon DE&I lead about how she values being a member of the network. And this is what she said. She said, The network gives us access to practical programs and peers with which we can concretely translate into sustainability measures and inclusiveness. And she gave the example of the Target Gender Equality Program that we participated in. She said it was very much in line with our ambition to approach sustainability and inclusivity, not only for compliance, but truly from value creation for Velcon, but also for our clients. And that really practical manner of being in that program and exchanging ideas is really helping Velcon in our ambition.
Thank you so much, Bianca.
Yeah.
And Maurice for sharing as well. I think it's great to see. Indeed, it's not only for maybe 1 or 2 people in the company, or it's not only for the duration of a specific program that you can really benefit from participating in a network, but you can create a long-lasting values and networks and connections. So thank you both for sharing that. I can imagine, looking at the people present here today, that you will have a couple of questions. I will cover some frequently asked questions now, but meanwhile, feel free to use the chat to use these last 10 minutes that we have for any questions that you have, maybe for us or for Maurice and Bianca, about how their companies are participating in the network. So maybe let's start with the practicalities. I know most of you will have this question, how can I apply and what does it cost? We are a non-profit organization, so we use all our income to really strengthen our mission. We do ask for a contribution fee based on the revenue of the company, and I will share the scheme with you in a second. And as Jamie mentioned, many of those programs are already free of charge. But maybe let's dive into the application process first. So to become a participant of the UN Global Compact is actually quite straightforward process. As I mentioned in the beginning, on CEO level, you need to commit to the 10 principles and to transparency through the annual communication on progress. You sign this letter of commitment digitally. This one is addressed to the Secretary General of the United Nations, and you include some company details, Chamber of Commerce document, contact details, etc. Not too complicated. Then we will run a formal due diligence process, which will take around 2 weeks, and then you are already a member of the UN Global Compact, but that's actually only the start of it. Then we'd love to explore with you what programs are a good fit for you, how can you best benefit from participating in the network. And then, as I mentioned, there's 2 annual requirements. So we have the annual contribution scheme here. You see it's based on revenue in US dollars. And you see for companies that have a revenue below 25 million, and also for non-business organizations, the annual contribution in 2025 is 649 euros annually, and you will see that number increasing, or the contribution increasing, as your revenue also increased. On the right side, you see a column with subsidiaries. This means that when your company has multiple offices worldwide, or whether you have subsidiary companies as well, it's possible to join multiple country networks worldwide. A famous example is always Unilever, who I believe has joined 14 UN Global Compact networks. And this is valuable to you if you have maybe a scattered sustainability team, or if you have multiple colleagues of a company that want to join local programming. So if you join the UN Global Compact in the Netherlands, of course, we will tailor our program slightly to the Dutch and the European context. But imagine if your team is in the US, it may be valuable to you to also join accelerators or peer learning groups in the US. So that's that fee. Then, indeed, what are the annual reporting requirements? So all companies are required to report through the communication on progress. This is an annual requirement, including a CEO statement of continued support and a questionnaire, or for another 2 years, we also allow a sustainability report to be uploaded instead of our questionnaire. But mostly we do advise you to submit our questionnaire. It contains around 45 questions on governance, human rights, labor, environment, and anti-corruption, so covering the themes of the 10 principles. And this not only shows this transparency in the progress of your company, but it can also help you to identify certain gaps and opportunities for further development. The reporting period is always between the 1st of April and the end of July. And if you join in the upcoming few months, you can still upload your first report in private mode if you want it. So if you need a little more time to prepare your report, you can submit it anonymously. From the second year onwards, we will upload all reports and they will be publicly available. And the great thing about our questionnaire is that we've just launched a data visualization tool, meaning that after submitting your report, you can see how your progress compares to other companies. So you can filter maybe on sector, on region, on size of the company, and see, okay, where am I maybe already a front runner on certain themes? Where am I maybe running behind? Where do I maybe need some more efforts in the upcoming years to really also use the data that you've filled in. So that's on the communication on progress. And then lastly, before I'm going to ask Jamie if there's any questions in the chat, a question we get after this: how do you support SMEs specifically? And as I mentioned, 50% of our member base are SMEs. And while they can always join our regular programming, we do acknowledge that some SMEs may have specific challenges as they have limited resources or maybe specific challenges that they are dealing with. Therefore, we are working on more tailored programming on SMEs, and this includes, for example, Spark, which I mentioned in the beginning, our online learning journey that really focuses on SMEs only, and we cover different sustainability themes tailored to SMEs. We don't have specific requirements for a company to join. We do advise companies below 10 employees to be mindful to check whether they have enough capacity to really learn and connect with us and really make use of the resources offered at the UN Global Compact. If you have any questions about that, please just approach us one-on-one. I'd love to thank everyone for their attention, and maybe Jamie, let me see if there's any questions from the chat that needs answering.
Thanks, Linda. We had a question from Onno about whether the accelerated programs are suitable for a sustainability early stage startup looking for funding. And I believe Onno is also explaining that their company is looking to facilitate the protein transition and is looking for support to get the funding started and launch the initiative. So I think the question is, do we help startups that are looking for funding? Perhaps you can answer that.
Yeah, of course. So we are not offering companies any support in getting the funding. Of course, you're always free to connect with members that are maybe dealing with similar issues or similar challenges. You're always welcome to connect with them through programming or through events. Maybe always an open invitation that we'd love to be a connecting body within the sustainability field, right? So if you have a specific issue or if you see a company that you'd love to connect with within our network, we're always happy to facilitate that introduction if both parties are agreeing to that. But that's in general, we're not supporting companies in getting funding.
Thanks, Linda. And then I see we're nearing the end of our webinar. So for people who have to jump off, here's a few links on how you can join, and also a link on whether you want to discuss a little bit more how our network can benefit your company specifically. You can schedule a call with either Linda or one of our other colleagues to chat more one-on-one.
Yeah, absolutely. We've also come to the end of the webinar. Thank you everyone for joining. Indeed, as I mentioned, we'd love to welcome you to our network. If you have some questions that are maybe specific to your own company, I'd love to get in touch with you. So please feel free to write me an email. maybe Jamie can share my email address in the chat. Feel free to use the QR code to schedule a quick call, an online call with me. I'm happy to explore one-on-one how your company could benefit and whether now is the right time for you. As I mentioned, we will share the recording and the slides with you this afternoon, so feel free to share it internally with your team, and we'd love to hear from you after. And if you have time on the 15th of October, please join us there, and that would be the perfect opportunity to really see what the UN Global Compact is about. Once again, also great thanks to our speakers, to Maurice, to Bianca, of course to Jamie as well, and I wish everyone a great day today. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thanks, everyone.